would it be wrong or like such a bad thing to make enough money to just afford cheap food and gasoline and just live in my car again? And I'll elaborate on that in a little bit if you.
I'd love to dig in. I just on its face, I mean, I wouldn't judge that as good or bad. I might judge that as wise or unwise or smart or dumb, but I wouldn't categorize that as a moral issue. Tell me what you're thinking.
Yeah. So last month I was in between living situations for about 2 weeks, and
what does that mean?
Options were what does that mean? Money.
What does that mean?
Just like the lease on my other place ended before the next one started.
Okay.
So nowhere to go for just a little bit. Not super long, just like 2 weeks and all that. But the options were either get like a hotel and pay 2 weeks of that, or just live in my car for that period of time. And I chose the latter. And people kind of, I guess, maybe are like fear that and stuff like that. It was not that bad at all. It wasn't that bad really. And I just I'm in my new apartment now, and it's a pretty nice place. It's in the city and everything like that. But I'm kind of like ruminating on, like, during those 2 weeks, I felt like I was just kind of living in a box, like parking lot to parking lot. And now it just kind of feels like I'm living in a slightly bigger box, but paying a whole bunch of money for it.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. So how old are you?
I'm 26.
Okay, cool.
No family or anything.
Sure.
No one depending on me.
Yeah. Well, no, yeah.
If I did have people that, if I did have dependents, this would be a completely different story. But it's not. So
absolutely. I think the balance for 26-year-olds and for 36-year-olds, and I'm especially talking to people who aren't married and who don't have children, dependents. It's a tough balance to begin to do things that will honor future you.
Mm.
When you have a seat with 50-year-old you, will he be glad that you're not married, that you don't have any kids, that you don't have any dependents, that you haven't done this thing that the research says makes you, quote unquote, less happy, which is a stupid metric in the short term, but that gives you purpose and meaning for all of the rest of your life? And let's cross our fingers that you've got 70 more years left, 60 more years left. Or do we do the next convenient thing or the next easy thing or the next opt-out thing just because we can? Here's a good example. Let's take living in a car off the table. 26, you're working. You have a good job?
I had a good job.
Okay.
I'm kind of in between my career path right now. I have a background in software sales.
Okay.
But the thing is, I'm 3 years out of college, and I've blown through 5 of those jobs in a course of 3 years.
Yes.
And I've just during that time, I've just been doing like little odd jobs, like little things on Craigslist that people need done, driving DoorDash, like just any little thing. And during my time in like software sales and stuff like that, I would just I would go to work, get up at the same time, and kind of just grind it out to be able to keep the lights on, pay rent and stuff like that. And I don't really have that high of standards. I don't really need a whole lot. So I've been in the state of mind right now where it's just okay, you get up and do all that. Why? You don't need it. And
sure. And
you clearly don't like, go ahead.
I was gonna say that same thing applies for you right now with lifting weights. Why? I'm not playing football. I'm not a college athlete. I'm not fighting anybody. Why? And your 60-year-old self, whose hip has degenerated, and I've got to do 40 years with artificial hips or I can't move, and my health has fallen off a cliff, is going to say, man, I wish you had of. And so you're right. Doing the calculation right now, you have no responsibilities and you have no purpose. And so when you are absent those two things, which, by the way, this is a cultural issue. This is not an Asher issue, man. So I'm not coming at you. You are asking the questions that everyone should be asking right now. The job market is chaos. They told us a bill of goods going to college is going to solve all of our problems. That if you just get this degree, and you probably listened, a job in STEM, cool, great. And
That's exactly what I did, yeah.
you're like, this sucks. I keep getting laid off. I keep getting fired. I keep, like, whatever. I'm just going to tell you right now, the greatest gift you could give 27-year-old Asher, the greatest gift you could give 37-year-old Asher, the greatest gift you could give 77-year-old Asher is not stuff. So the question about should I live in my car, I could give you all the data on how your amygdala functions in an unsafe environment. It feels cool to take a 2-week vacation and go camping. I would never recommend anyone pack up and move to the woods. Right? That comes at a cost.
Yeah.
What I'm telling you, but what you felt was you've been living in a failure factory for the last 5 years since you graduated college, and it just felt good to opt out for a minute. The greatest gift you could give yourself, your 27-year-old self, and on, is to go find a squat bar and get under it. And I'm not talking about a weight room. The greatest gift you can give yourself is responsibilities. The greatest gift you could give yourself is purpose. And you don't have either of those things. Responsibilities to a young adult, to somebody in their 20s and 30s, is the weightlifting for your mind and your body and your spirit. And so it may be a bad, quote unquote, investment to have an apartment. I love the fact that you signed a contract. You got to go do something.
Yeah.
You have to. The question is, the thing you've been trying to do for 5 years is killing you. So let me back all the way out. Dude, what do you want to do? Or more importantly, who do you want to be? You're not going to have any purpose in life. You're going to continue to flounder until you find a place where you can contribute. And that's responsibility. And
what means would you say are the best of going about finding that thing?
I'm going to send you, my buddy Ken Coleman, he's got a small book out, but the importance of the book, it's called Finding the Work You're Wired to Do. I'm going to send it to you for free, but inside of it's got an assessment. Like what are even, like, here I am, I've got student loan debt, I've got this, or maybe you do or don't, but I got this job, I got this degree, this thing has gone away.
Nope, I don't have any debt or anything like that.
Okay, great, cool. So you're at even Steven, which is awesome. And that allows you to even ask this question. Can I just opt out of the system? Of course. But my buddy Josh Milburn,
yeah.
He runs The Minimalist. It's not about buying stuff. And maybe you're figuring this out before most people figured out at 50 or 60. They got a lot of stuff and they are hollow.
Yeah.
And you're looking around and be like, dude, I just stepped in my car. It's kind of awesome. I could go sleep whatever parking lot I wanted, etc.
Yeah.
Like the other stuff feels futile.
And it seems like, I think the kind of genesis of where this all is coming from is that finding a meaningful career that's not only something that you like doing, but is also able to support a family and like maybe burn down a mortgage eventually. It's something that everybody else is doing, and it's so strange to me. It's so predictable. I don't know. It's very easy to get like winded from that. The more that you think about it, I guess, and that's kind of where I've been. So
that's a pretty audacious thing for a 26-year-old just throw out. What do you mean?
So I'll give you an example. My brother and best friend are the main people that I talk to, and they're moving on with different stages of their life, getting married and all that stuff. And I see them a lot less now.
Mm-hmm.
And, I get that they have different priorities now and everything like that. But it just, the things that they want are basically the same. And none of them really sound that exciting at all.
I would say excitement is a horrific metric to chase.
Okay.
Right? Novelty and fun, I'm all about that. I like excitement on the path where I'm going. But you get excitement when your team wins the championship, or you get excited when you find a solution to something. I remember a guy, one time I was in a neighborhood and there was a bad storm and our power went out, and this guy came in at 3:30 in the morning on this huge truck, and he climbed up and redid the transformer at 3 in the morning in the rain, and he clicked it back on, and I was out there with him, and I said, I yelled up to him, "You just gave my family light back. Thank you." And he smiled and said, "That's what I do." So it doesn't have to be like curing cancer.
I understand what you're saying. Yeah, I get that.
Where does
That'd be cool.
where does the cynicism come from?
I don't know. When I was kind of late college, I used to tutor people as a side hustle and stuff like that, and it was cool. Like seeing I would have parents review me and stuff like that, and it wasn't just my kid has a B instead of a C now. It was yeah, he has a little more confidence now. It was kind of cool just having someone to just talk to, not only about school stuff, but also about kind of ways of thinking about things.
Mm-hmm.
And that was way more rewarding than anything that I did in tech sales, even though it made more money.
So why in the world aren't you chasing that down? What the world needs is a bunch of people who inside, forget the money part, forget the fame part, forget the business part of it, are doing things that light them up, because that's what people are going to be attracted to that. And if you don't know anything, everything's just running low, right? Everything's just low. I get no joy out of anything. I get no bleh out of everything. You got to go sit down and talk to somebody, man.
Like a professional?
Yes, absolutely, 100%.
Mm-hmm.
And you can roll your eyes. I'm not going to pay for That's just the cynicism talking.
No, I've paid for it before. He's a cool guy.
Okay. Hang on the line here, brother. I'm going to hook you up. I don't want you to think in terms of good and bad. I want you to sit down and have an write your 50-year-old self a letter and say, at 26, I made some choices. And because I made these choices, here's your life at 50.
Mm.
And I'll tell you what, I burned myself to the ground. I burned the candle all the way down to my 20s. And it almost cost me my marriage. It almost cost me friendships. It cost me a lot. And so I'm not recommending burning it like I did, but I'm often, in moments of quiet and solitude, I'm really grateful for my 20-year-old self, because I am living in a house built on the foundation that my 20-year-old self, when I didn't have a lot of responsibilities, man, I went all in. I'm super grateful that when things were awkward, that I chose to go in again. And I didn't just choose to sit down and opt out of the game because I was too clever or sophisticated or pessimistic about the whole thing. But yeah, hang on the line. I'm gonna hook you up with my buddy Ken's stuff, and we'll get you connected there. I think your answer is in what you told me. If you were my friend and we were just having a drink at a local pub, I would tell you. I think you know. And it's going to be hard to let software sales go, because that's quote unquote who you are. It's not who you are. You're a guy that likes to sit next to people and help them find who they're supposed to be. And that's a great gift. The world needs more of that.